Hi, this is Betsy from Cuttin Corners Vinyl in Nederland, Texas. Today we're going to get a little bit more personal, a bit more about me and who I am and my upbringing and things like that. Slowly but surely we're kind of delving into all those types of subjects. And part of the reason why we're going there is because I've had a lot of questions about it. And I don't have a problem talking about some of the things I've been through, because I'm hoping that if I share a little bit of my story, maybe it will make someone else realize things can get better. So that's kind of where I'm at on that. So, I mean, with my childhood growing up, my birth mother, Geraldine, had me when she was 23, I think. I was born in Fort Lauderdale, Florida. The man who signed my birth certificate is not my birth father, or at least that's what I was told. I was told that my birth father is a Cuban immigrant who came over. I was born in '83, back whenever all of the people were leaving Cuba on the rafts and things like that. So as far as I know, my birth father didn't speak English. Don't know a whole lot else other than that, because as I said, she died when I was 10. She died from AIDS. She had 2 other kids before me. My sister Tiki, which is what everybody called her, it was Amber Dawn, was born when she was like 19, and she died at 6 months old from SIDS, which to me, if one of my babies died, I don't know how good of a wife or mother I could be, because my children are my world, so I don't hold that against her. So then she had my brother Jason, and before I was even born, Dorothy adopted Jason. Dorothy and my step-grandfather, Robert, which everybody called Bob, adopted Jason. So then whenever I was born, I wasn't adopted till I was 13 months old. Gerald didn't want Dorothy to have me. This is what I've been told. Dorothy was extremely abusive to Gerald as well. Would call her fat. I mean, she was, in that she acted too much like my Papa East and things like that, because Dorothy was married a bunch. She was married to my Papa East like twice, to the guy I called my daddy. She was married to him once. Then there was Bill. She was married to Arthur. She's been married like 7 times that I know of. And there were many, many men in between. So Gerald didn't want Dorothy to have me. But she was going to prison. Her and the guy that signed my birth certificate were going to prison. They robbed a dog track in Florida. So whenever, and the guy that signed my birth certificate signed over his rights to me for a carton of cigarettes and a pack of Long Johns. So that stuck with me a long time, that, you know, that's all I'm worth, was back in the 80s, was about $25. And that really, really bugged me. And so whenever, like, Dorothy and them, when she was still with my daddy, they lived in Louisiana. So, and the guy, after we lived in Louisiana, we lived in a place called Rock Hill, Louisiana. When her and my daddy split up, she left him for his best friend, which was a guy we called Uncle Bill, and we moved to Oklahoma. We lived in Henrietta, Oklahoma. We've lived in Moore, Oklahoma, because they would break up and she would move, and then they would get back together and we'd move back. Which during that time period, like when we lived in Henrietta, which was even smaller than Nederland, was whenever Joel came and told us that she was sick. I remember my brother Jason had a basketball game, and she took us to Dairy Queen afterwards, and she sat us down and she was like, I have AIDS. And I was, you know, I was like 5 years old. I had no idea what it was, or what it even had to do with. But I do know that up until I was 10 years old, I had to be tested, because back then you couldn't see the HIV virus didn't always pick up, or whatever, however it goes. But I had to have my blood tested, which when we lived in a small town of, 1,700 people, and I would have to go to the doctor and do it, no one would let their kids play with me because they were scared, because no one knew how it was transmitted and things like that, and they were scared that I would make their kids sick. And I don't have like any pictures of me as a baby. I don't have any pictures of me growing up, because whenever Dorothy found out that Joel was sick, she took everything that she ever touched, my baby blankets, everything, and burned it. And then we moved so much that we lost, the few pictures and stuff like that that were kept over the years. We lost all that. I think I may have one or two of when I was a kid, and that's about it. So that's where that is. So that was very difficult. And then we moved down here, and she married a man named Arthur when I was 8. And they would go out and they would go drink every night, every single night. They wouldn't be home till 3 o'clock in the morning, and they drank Crown Royal. They would buy a 5th of it every single night, plus beer, whatever, and they would buy one of those half-gallon bottles on Saturday, because you can't go to the liquor store in Texas on Sunday. And some of the things like I remember from my childhood was Arthur, if they came in and he'd be drunk, and if there were fuzz on the floor, he would come and wake me up because the house wasn't clean enough, or if I forgot to fix the coffee pot. So, 8 years old, I was fending for and taking care of myself, which I had been for a long time anyway. As I said, I have an older brother, Jason, and then I have Jeff, who for a long time I considered a brother, but we're not going to get much into that, but I don't have anything to do with any of them, because they're just not good people. So it was not easy, and having so many people in and out of your life brings in a lot of things that can hurt you. I don't have a lot of trust for anybody. There are very few people that I trust completely. There are very few people that actually matter to me at all. I've said that before, because I don't get close to a lot of people, because throughout my life, the people that I've gotten close to have either left, or we've moved, or have passed away. I mean, when I was 16, I had my best friend at the time died, and it got hit by a car. So there are things like that where it's like, if I don't get close, then I don't get hurt. So I don't get close to a lot of people. But I mean, that kind of tells you why I am the way that I am. I spend a lot of time, I donate a lot of my time and money towards schools and helping better that system. At some point, I would love to adopt, especially a kid that's in the foster system and things like that. But I'm hoping that by opening up and telling a little bit more, that this will help you understand a little bit more about me. So if you have any questions, leave them down below. Remember, we're doing the scrap box drawing. Check us out on the other social medias. Y'all have a great day. Thanks.